So here are the key areas. These are the areas that must be completed in order to have what LinkedIn, and again, they own it, it's their program, uh, in order to have that complete profile. So we need to have that headshot. We need to have that background banner. A lot of people forget that. That is one of the key things people forget is the background banner. And then, of course, we need to have our headline. They consider a complete profile as one that has 51 or more connections. So even if you filled out all the stuff, you would have to get the 51 connections in order to be complete. But that is something that comes in time. And most people don't have too much trouble with that, but we'll talk about that a little bit. And then our about and experience section, our education, and at least 5 skills. So let's break these down just a tad, and so we understand exactly what all these mean. Optimizing your profile really means that you have all the necessary parts of the profile and they are complete. They show your audience what you do and who you are and really where your expertise lies. So this helps your profile rank higher in LinkedIn searches by recruiters, headhunters, hiring managers, and the like. And it also builds trust among those who might want to connect with you. So your profile does not replace your resume. Remember in school we had the old Venn diagram, and basically they have some similarities. Like in the Venn diagram, in the middle you have that common area, and basically, you have your education and you have like some work history. But LinkedIn gives you so much more because, as I mentioned, it allows you to become more known to your targeted audience. It complements your resume, which is why when I was a headhunter, I used to look at LinkedIn to see what else I could learn, because you can have supporting documents, work samples, presentations, graphics, reports, you name it, testimonials, whatever it is you have. And it's an opportunity to tell your story in the experience section and demonstrate all that you are capable of doing beyond what is on a resume for a given position. And then the other thing that's really wonderful is you can add into the skills, you can seek endorsements, which add weight and value. Because anybody could say, there's 41,000 skills in LinkedIn. It's like a lot. You can have up to 100. I don't even recommend having 100, maybe 50. 50 is probably good enough. But anybody can say that, oh, yeah, I know how to do Excel, or I know how to do PowerPoint, or I know how to do anything. But when you have multiple endorsements, it begins to have weight. It begins to add value. So in a minute, we're going to go and we're going to look at my profile as a guinea pig, and I'll just give you some examples there. And then, even though recommendations are not required, when people take the time to write a recommendation about you, that says something. And so this is where you have information that's not going to be on a resume. And even if you wrote a cover letter, if somebody read the cover letter, all that stuff, this goes above and beyond. And people can read that are in your audience, and they can decide if you might be a candidate or you might be someone that they would want to speak with. So you might hear SEO, which is search engine optimization. And basically, all that means is that behind LinkedIn are these algorithms. Now, I don't know about you, but I was never a math major. Never, never, never. I don't even want to tell you how horrible it was in math. But I will tell you this, that the algorithms work like a recipe to help sort through the content that's on all the profiles that are out there. And you've seen this yourself. If you go onto Google and you look for whatever, an oil change, a pizza, a haircut, you're going to get pages and pages and pages of these things in your local area. You might put in a zip code or a town like Fairfax or Falls Church or wherever you are. And then it's going to list all this, but you're probably not going to look at pages and pages on Google. You're going to look at page one and probably like the top 4 or 5. Same thing here. When recruiters, headhunters, and the like search for somebody who does accounting or does admin support or is a lawyer, whatever it is, they're going to get results And what you want to be is targeted in such a way that you have all the things in there so that your profile is complete. It's performing well for those hiring managers who be looking for somebody who does what you do. And you want to be just like the pizza and the oil change and the haircut. You want to be on page one of those search results, and you want to be in the top few results. And that's what's going to get you noticed. So you want to be on that first page. Branding, we're going to circle back to that for just a minute. When it comes to branding your profile, what you want to have are the keywords and phrases that relate to what you do, woven throughout your profile, from your headline to your about section to your experience and your skills and so on. Just to give you a case in point, many years ago, when I was still headhunting, I got a resume from a guy who was getting out of the army, right? And he needed to find a job as a project manager. And in his skills, this is even way back then, he had things to do with armament and cannons and materiel that related to military equipment. And I had to tell him, it's okay to say that you did logistics and shipping and that you moved important materials around for the work. But that if you're not going for a certain kind of job that's with a contractor in the Army, maybe the fact that you know about armament is not so important as just knowing logistics, supplies, supply chain, just in time, and all those things. So it's very important to make sure that the language you use in your profile and the skills that you select are branded to match what it is that you do. Imagine you're standing at the Sheets or the Wawa or the 7-Eleven, wherever you are, and you are waiting in line, you got your coffee, and you maybe want to just pay and go, and you notice there's a little bit of a news rack over there with maybe Washington Post and Baltimore Sun and whatever else you might have over there, and you see the newspaper and it says Eagles win Super Bowl, and they've got a great picture on there, and maybe the picture or the headline is so interesting, you pick up that newspaper and you open it up, and that's what you want people to do. You want them to look at your profile in the list of search results, and you want them to click and open and read what's below your headline and what's below your photograph. So this is really, really important. Bear in mind that profiles that have photos, like a headshot, get 21 times more views than profiles that do not. And I realize sometimes that there are situations, personal situations, where you can't have a picture, but barring something that's, stalking or any of that, make sure that your photo is recent, recognizable. Like if they ran into you in a networking meeting, they would know who you were, be friendly and approachable. Make sure it shows only you. It's not cut out from the beach or the wedding. And you should be in work attire. If you are like a veterinary technician, or a lab tech, it would be okay to wear a lab coat. If you're a lawyer or maybe a banker, a suit. But if you're out in the business world and a lot of other professions, business casual is what is worn. And so that's what I would recommend, business casual. And it's so easy today with cell phones. You can do a nice headshot. I don't recommend the AI so much because you really want to make sure it's a natural looking, friendly photo. So that's what I recommend for the photo. And then headlines for job seekers should include 2 to 3 branded titles. And those are, like, for example, a branded title would be, say I wanted to go back into recruiting. I would have recruiting, maybe I would have talent acquisition, and maybe I would have headhunter, perhaps. But that's just a quick example. But roles that are parallel and very similar, because recruiters and headhunters, like I was, they search on 2 things. They search on titles and they search on skills. Those are the primary things that they search on. I don't care whether they're using the database in Indeed or Career Builder or JobVite or any of these other places, or they're using LinkedIn. That's what they look for. So you want those keywords, and then you want to add, the key titles that you're looking for, and then a few keywords, like, for example, project manager, and then maybe agile. to stand out because agile is a skill, like, or that's a methodology that they use in project management. So two or three closely aligned titles and maybe a skill that or two that goes with that. And then you can add an accomplishment like reduced operational expense by 20% or increase productivity by 25%. When you start thinking about it, it's really easy to talk about where you've brought about an improvement, like met 100% of deadlines, always early with deliverables. You can, 100% of the time. So tell the reader what you bring in that headline, because again, when we do a search, all we're seeing is name, picture, and that headline. So you want to put those titles, a couple of skills, and maybe an achievement. That is ideal if you're in a search mode. Always remember to be a specialist and skip those overused superlative descriptors. You know the ones: detail oriented, seasoned, goal oriented, proven. Think about it. Who's not detail oriented? Who's not success driven? Don't tell, show. Show. Increase productivity 25%, met 100% of deadlines early, that kind of thing. You get the idea, but change it up if you need to. The one good thing about LinkedIn is if you try something and it's not exactly working, you can change it up. It's not in stone, and I love that.